it helps you kind of like hijack some of those when your body, when you start to feel hot, you sweat, you're anxious, your heart rate's going up, you get all these things when you get that like all of a sudden, whoa, conflict is coming. What do I do? That's one way to hijack that emotion and bring you back into that rest and digest. Hey, boss family, it's Kay and Tanner here for another Wednesday watch. And today we're going to be switching gears a little bit. We're talking all about pitching, all about, talking about your business with ease for a while. And now we're going to switch to something very different, but also very necessary for business. And it's some really great skills, some really great nuggets in this that you're going to want to keep in your back pocket as a business owner. And so, today, we're going to be talking about hard conversations. These are the things you have to have sometimes in order to pivot your business, grow your business, or step away from something that may not be the best for you or your business. And so, yeah, Tanner, let's kick it off with a few thoughts on this topic of hard conversations.
Hard conversations. It's one of those skills I think as whether you're in business, you're even an employee, a leader within a company, or gosh, even a parent. The ability or the skill to have difficult conversations is kind of like the, I don't know, catalyst to growth, I think, in a lot of different ways. So yeah, I can think of a lot of different times when that's kind of come up from in varying degrees in kind of my professional career, and um, definitely not. It's never easy. Hence, the name, difficult conversations. So excited to be diving in and kind of talking a little bit about this one.
Yes, and same here. Again, we've covered aspects of communication in business a few times, and this is one of those that I'm really excited to dive into because sometimes this is a topic that we like know as a business owner, we know we have to have these conversations. We know that they're there, and it's kind of like an impending doom if we don't know how to have them. But if you have conversations like this, when you have them in your business, to have the skills to have a successful outcome, um, even in the communication with the other party involved, it's so much. It puts your mind at ease to just have those skills. So, I'd like to dive into what are a few skills that you need to have a good hard conversation.
I think um, like the skill of just doing it, even if you don't want to. I don't even know how to put like a word on that skill, but just doing it, even though it feels uncomfortable, I think is probably the top thing to do. Next is probably learning to leave emotion at the door and just being very straightforward. This is what's going on. Let's be matter of fact about it. In most cases, it's like let's just be adults and have a conversation. Let's not get super emotional about it.
Mhm.
And that can happen whether it's organizations you're a part of to internal communications. Like if we want to dive into even examples to kind of like really layer this out, and I'd be very interested in kind of hear some of the experiences you've had, but we can talk about making decisions on payroll. Like, all right, the business isn't profitable anymore. um, what's that hard conversation of owners of the business? Do we take pay, and what does that look like? It could be a charitable organization that you've been a part of forever, and it's just not, it's weighing on you too much. You're doing too many things, and it's not, leading to the end result of what you want in your own life, and having to say, I can't do this anymore. And having to step away from something like that. These are kind of a couple just simple examples that I don't know, we've seen in the past, but they can get as emotional as hard conversations with a spouse to hard conversations with business partners, right? Lots of different kind of ways to do it, and I think just being open and willing to look at what is the bigger picture, and know that not everything's going to be easy. Some people are probably going to get their feelings hurt along the way, but if we can strip back that emotion as much as possible and just look at it logically and say, what's the best move for everybody involved, uh, and for the direction, the goals that we have set.
Oh, that is such a great, great kickoff to this conversation because, you talked about emotions, right? Emotions and like, so some people are more emotional than others, and it's good to know where you're at there. And I have a few tips to set yourself up for success when going into a hard conversation. And so recently in my business, I had to have a hard conversation, and it was something I was doing through email. And so I really wanted to think about, okay, email, there's no voice tone, right? It's how is this going to come off in the email? And so a few things that I do are I draft the email, and at that time, there maybe I might be emotional. I might have
Mhm.
something like more emotion because I'm hurt. I'm thinking, why is this not going right? What's going on here? And so I draft the email, but I don't send it right away. I wait. And then I'll look at it the next day. I'll read through it, revise it, and then I send it to. I have three trusted people in my life that I send these kind of things too, business things that I need to know how I'm coming off because sometimes we can't judge that. We just feel what's in here. And so they will edit for me and send something back with revisions or edits or thoughts or, oh, maybe add a document to this to support what you're talking about. And then I read it through again. I look at the revisions, and then I take a moment and I pause, and then I send that email. So if it's something that is difficult, sometimes it's good to know where you're at there with your emotions. Know where you can ask for help. You can ask for advice if you have a coach or if you have a mentor, advisor, anybody in your life. That's what I personally do to get through those hard emails. And then, if that goes to a next step, which would be like a conversation with that person, I utilize what I wrote in the email and I kind of keep that in the back of my mind of the things I can talk about. And if you do feel yourself getting emotional in the conversation, know that it's normal to feel that way, but you can express yourself as a professional. You can still feel the feels, but know that think about the greater good of the situation. What's the result you want to get to, and how's the best way to get there? And sometimes, keeping those emotions in check will help you get there. And it also keeps the other party open to hearing you. And so that
Mm,
is something that I have found that helps me as an emotional person to find success. And also on both sides, you want to work this out. You want to make sure you want this to go better. There's a reason we're having the conversation. And then set yourself up for a little treat afterwards. Like if you get through it, go to your favorite coffee shop and work for the afternoon, take the day off if you can, maybe go for a walk, like give yourself an incentive. Maybe go get that favorite snack, whatever it is. But if you can incentivize it a little bit for yourself, be like, I can get through this thing, and this is what's on the other side.
mm. I love those like tactics because they're like super useful. You can just like go and start implementing those. I love the idea of like draft up the email, but don't send it. Just leave it in the drafts folder. Even love, you know, way more send it to somebody else or a few other folks to review it. It's something I've never thought of before, but definitely, write it and leave it. Take that pause. I think that's probably a big piece that if there's like one tactical item you can take away from a conversation around things that are difficult, conversations that are difficult, is it's okay to take a moment and pause, whether that's writing an email or it's a face-to-face conversation. Especially if you set some of the standards up front and say, hey, if we get to an emotional point, let's just agree that it's okay to just walk away for now and we'll come back and just take a breath. I know there was probably about a year or two ago, we had actually set some rules, yeah, some standards within like our leadership and board level meetings that it was if we because we knew we were going to have hard conversations from time to time and it was going to evoke emotion, especially anytime you talk about money. Money is one of those things that almost always evokes emotion in every human being out there. At least it does 90 some percent of the time. But we knew we were going to have difficult conversations. So we set the standard in the meetings to be it's okay to just stand up, walk out, go take a breath. walk around the block, whatever it is, and then come back and we'll revisit it. Because if we allow everybody's emotions just to kind of boil up, then we're not going to get anywhere constructive anyway. It's better to just take the pause, walk away, let everything kind of simmer down a little bit, and then come back and have more of a logic based conversation versus an emotional one. And I think the things that you outlined are all derivatives of kind of just that general core principle of take a moment, take a breath, walk away, allow the emotions kind of simmer down a little bit, and then get back into it in a constructive way.
Oh, 100%. There's so much power in the pause. And that's a phrase and mantra that I carry with me too, because you never know if a situation is planned or if it's all of a sudden there's something going on. We need to have a conversation now. Even in the like kind of that fast pace that might feel, you can still take that moment, 10 seconds, deep breaths, right before, say, you have to get on a call that's like very
Mm-hmm.
urgent. You can I like to do actually breath work that helps calm the nervous system. It's something I learned about through yoga and my yoga teacher training. And something that I like to share is it's you double your amount of exhale as your inhale. So, say you breathe in for 4 counts, hold for a count, exhale for 8 counts, and hold for a count. And if you do that for 8 rounds, it helps to lower your heart rate, stabilize your blood pressure. It helps you kind of like hijack some of those when you start to feel hot, you sweat, you're anxious, your heart rate's going up. You get all these things when you get that, like all of a sudden, whoa, conflict is coming. What do I do? That's one way to hijack that emotion and bring you back into that rest and digest, where you can process information more clearly and from a better, like a little bit better of a mindset. And so that is something I practice for a variety of things, and it's actually been very helpful as I grow in business as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that. I've heard, various versions of kind of breath work and such and being able to calm kind of the central nervous system. So I love kind of the example and how folks can start leveraging that. And for those that are watching, I want to make sure that we iterate, it's not always just bad conversations or like negative situations that we have difficult conversations around. It could be a, positive thing. It could be I get to speak with somebody I've never spoken to before, and they're like 10 levels above me, and I'm just nervous to have that conversation because it'll be hard. I've never communicated with this type of an individual before. Or
Mhm.
going into a negotiation that is technically going to be positive for everybody, but it's still a negotiation. It's going to be hard, and you got to go through that process, especially if you haven't, done the reps with it. You could be early in your career and having to make sales calls and know that you're going to hear no a lot. That might be a difficult conversation, at the very beginning. But I might be butchering the quote. Hopefully, I don't. But I think I heard it from I think Alex Hormozy at one point. But all the success that you want is on the other side of difficult conversations, and it's
Yeah.
just that reminder that you know change is hard. Change is ugly. Growth is ugly, right? Um, but it's because of that difficult and ugliness and everything that comes with that emotional feeling of growth and change that allows us to kind of morph into that next version of ourselves, that next version of where we can go and have that success. So um, difficult conversations don't necessarily have to be negative or bad. They can be. They can, you can have those conversations like, I need to let these people go out of my life and have that conversation with them. But it could also be, I need to take this next step and I don't know how to do it. And it's going to be hard to have those first few conversations and go through the growth that's required to become ultimately the person that I want to become.
Oh, 100%. One quick example before we wrap up of it up being like a more of a positive, situation is, and first of all, yes, I think at the end of it, this is all for a positive reason. Sometimes the hard conversations are it's for that season of growth or it's exiting something, but that's for the bettering of the situation. And so that's kind of a great mindset and one of those positive things that are is actually going to be happening to me soon is I got an email for a press coverage of a story on me. And sometimes when we like sit down and have those interviews, if they're in person, especially, or even over the Zoom, even, a podcast interview, we can get nervous, and we can be like, oh, what am I going to say? that's another time where you can channel. You can do all the same practices. You can draft up what you would like to say, send it to a few people for editing, and you can utilize that. And you can pause. You can do all of those steps as you're preparing for that interview or something with the press as well. So that is one thing. Being in the press and doing those kind of things often here at Action Coach with interviewing, just prepping myself to be ready for that experience is gonna just help my ease of mind and remind me like, oh, these are the topics I want to talk about. So it takes a lot of those nerves away and helps you set, like I said earlier, to set you up for success for any conversation you will have.
Hmm. That's absolutely fantastic.
Well, thank you guys for tuning into this episode. Hope you got a lot out of it. Be sure to check out our other content we have available. We do these every week. So if you're just feeling like you need a boost in your week in business, definitely check out a Wednesday Watch.